Welcome to Up on the Bars discussion with your host, Roy Bain.
Here recording a Sunday night edition of Up on the Bars. We're right at the conclusion of the Reno Promoters Workshop. The Tri-State Pro Stock Series, we got our schedule all lined out. It looks like we're going to have 8 races this year. The schedule will be coming out soon. Keep an eye out for that. We just seen an announcement in the last 24 hours that Rick Workman from Workman's Communication has came on board, and he is doing the Workman Series loyalty bonus this year. There's going to be more information to come once we get it all lined up. We'll get the word out for it. But it's a way to pay recognition to all the drivers that have supported everything that we're doing with the Tri-State and keep building it and making it better. So we're looking forward to that. So let's give Rick a quick shout out with his commercial as we get started.
Tired of calling multiple companies to complete your low voltage projects? Minimize the hassle by calling Workman Communications, your locally owned one-stop shop for all low voltage needs. We tackle everything from commercial and residential data, telephone cabling to access control installation, CCTV, alarms, and audio-video solutions. With no job too big or too small, we'll ensure your project will be completed to your standards with precision quality results. Let's start a new project together.
And that's Workman's Communication. If you need some sound equipment for your racetrack or anything that's going on, get a hold of Rick. He's always out to help the racers and the racetracks. So if you need any sound help with your racetrack, get a hold of Rick Workman at Workman's Communications. So the Reno's Promoter Workshop, this is my 8th year going. This year was very interesting in some of the stuff that they talked about. They talked a lot about social media and using social media to up your game, get your fan attendance up. It was very informative, very helpful. We've already kind of started incorporating a lot with that, so it was exciting to see that. It was nice to see, I think they had the president of marketing from World Racing Group there. He gave some tips and tricks, very, very informative, an opportunity to catch up with all the racetracks and all the promoters of all the series on the West Coast. So very productive 3 days. And then I think on Friday, the Western States Dwarf cars got together to have their officers meetings and all down there and discuss the Western States Dwarf Car Nationals coming up in 2025. Once again, I want to point out that they're going to be on Speed Union TV all this year. So we'll be covering all the Western States Dwarf Car Nationals again on Speed Union TV. So couple of races that we had over the weekend. We had the Dome race in St. Louis. Brandon Shepard picked up the win with the super late models. Trevor Neville picked up the modified win from checking over the results. Then we saw Caden Honeycutt won the Snowball Derby down there today in Florida at Five Flag Speedway. So congratulations to all the winners over the weekend. For all the people that are always talking about racing's dead and you can't get a fans and all this other stuff, everybody needs to take a look at what the Domes did this year. 30,000 in attendance. Kenny Wallace posted up, the guy that won the 50-50 drawing, $90,000. Could you imagine? That's how many people were there. The 50-50 drawing was $90,000 at the Dome this weekend. Unbelievable. So that's enough of me rambling. We're going to get to my guest. Our guest that's coming on tonight is your Sportsman's Western States Dwarf Car champion this year. Drove the 21P, younger money, whatever you want to call him. A cool young man, and I can't wait to get him on here, but we're bringing on Marek Pipe. Marek, how are you doing tonight, buddy?
Good. What about you, Roy? I'm happy to be here.
I'm happy to be here, too. I've been waiting to have this conversation with you. This is going to be a lot of fun. And I know y'all went out and got a Christmas tree. My wife's putting decorations on the Christmas tree as we're speaking right now here in our house. So it's that time of the year. Are you excited for Christmas?
Yeah, I'm very excited. And I'm excited for Christmas itself, but it means the shootout is close. So
all right.
another
So
good thing about it.
You said the shootout. Tell us what the shootout is.
It's the biggest. It's arguably the biggest race in the country all year. 1,700 entries. like the 1,000 cars, 900 cars, and we all get together for a week of racing indoor at the same track as the Chili Bowl.
So for all of y'all that don't know, it's the Tulsa Shootout. I think it's the week before the Chili Bowl, correct?
It's either a week or 2 weeks before. I don't remember which one.
All right. So I have picked on Marek every time that we've talked this summer and did interviews with you for Speed Union and all that stuff. And he has to point it out, so we have to bring it up. You're going back with a lot of confidence this year. You were an E-main winner at the Tulsa Shootout last year.
Yeah, I think we'll be quite a bit better this year. I mean, we've got Nick Hellwig, which is my crew chief. We've got Tip Holcomb, and they do so much for me. I think we're gonna come back, and I think we're gonna do a lot better than we did last year, and hopefully race on Saturday and make a main or two, and hopefully just get my name out there and get some good lap time or get some good seat time.
So tell us what car you're going to be running there. I'm pretty sure it's the one with no body on it, but has the wing on it in the background, correct?
So I've got two here. One's right here. It's a bit out of the screen, but I've got that car back there, which we're going to run as my A-class car. And then my restrictor car sitting right here.
Okay, so tell us the difference between an A-class and a restrictor.
So they're the same motor, same injection, but the difference is the restrictor has a little plate inside of the injection to limit the amount of fuel or air that the car gets, and it just restricts that a bit. So they go a bit slower compared to the A-class car, which is wide open.
So I have to ask you, because I heard a little bit of a rumor about you last year at the shootout. You had your restrictor car, and you decided you were a little too good for the restrictor, so you took the restrictor out to run the open, which you might have done a little bit better had you had the restrictor in. Is that true?
I think I would have, but I mean, yeah, I definitely probably would have. But you know, I just wanted to go fast, and I made the wrong decision.
Yeah, Ricky Bobby, I just want to go fast, right?
Hopefully, right? Just go fast.
All right. So, Marek, I want you to tell everybody out there, number one, how old are you?
I'm 12. I turned 13 on the 22nd.
So you're still very, very young, first of all. You picked up, I think, not this most current season, but the season before, I think you picked up at least 2 Western States main event wins, if I'm not mistaken. I know you won Antioch, and I can't remember where the other one was.
I think I know I won Antioch. I'm pretty sure I only won 1 Western States, but I won the Texas National for Central States too.
Okay, so you won 2 nationals at one in Texas and one at Antioch, California. So
Yes.
lots of traveling. That was in your own, and for lack of better terms, your own team car. After that year, you teamed up with Danny Wagner and Danny Wagner Racing, and they have. I think that was kind of a teaming up to get you some more experience and change your driving styles a little bit. It seemed to work. So tell us about your 2024 season.
Yeah, we got approached last year towards the end of the year by Danny and Ellie, amazing people. They asked, so we just gave them my car, that's the 06, but that's the 06, just a different body. And, we gave them that car, and they, they gave me good driver development, and, they're like, team up, we'll go win the Western States Championship for the Sportsman class. And that's what we did. I couldn't have done it without him. Danny was always good. I never went out with a bad car. I had the whole crew, Mike and Mike Russo, Tommy, and Travis, just gave me a great car every time that I hit the track.
Well, and Steven, who was with us at Mojave early in the year, and I think he did the Marysville Nationals. He got a laugh at the name on your car, Younger Money. That's just kind of, tell us how that came about, because that's kind of cool.
So we were at Port City for the KKM Give Back Classic last year, and I'd taken a selfie with Kyle Larson because he was there with his son Owen, and I posted it on Facebook, and I'm pretty sure it's Jan Monroe or it was Frank, one of them. They commented Young Money and Younger Money there, so that name kind of always stuck from there on.
Okay, I was wondering where that came from. It was kind of cool to see it. And guys, I got to tell you, at Quincy this year, I got to do some hot laps. And I talk about that. I had a conversation with your dad about this. Mark Pollock let me drive and hot lap his car. Marek met me at the bottom of the stairs coming out of the booth to go in there and want to know, are you still doing this? I used to say, yeah, I'm on my way over there. He went out there with me and helped me get in the car, get the belts in, taking pictures. I got to tell you right now, this young man was more excited for me to drive that Dwarf car than I was. And I got to tell you, Marek, and I'm telling you right now, that was one of the coolest moments in all that we were doing, is how excited you were for me to get in and drive that car.
Yeah, I think I with how much you do for the Dwarf cars in Western states, I feel like you really deserve that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I've driven Pro Stocks, but I'd never driven a Dwarf car, so, and that was very cool of Mark to let me do that. That was a lot of fun.
A bit different.
I was surprised, and I said this is something that was very surprising to me, is the response when you hit the gas pedal, the response time. It's almost instant. Your foot goes down and you're in the back seat of the car. For lack of better terms, it's instant when you hit the gas in those cars. It's amazing how fast. It gives you a lot of respect in what you do, because the close quarter racing y'all do in that, and I'm sure your car has power steering. The one I drove didn't. That's a lot. Those cars are very twitchy, and for y'all to run as close as y'all do side by side, that's amazing to me after having driven that.
Yeah, funny thing is, last year about the power steering, I was actually at Quincy and I'd stripped the gear on Friday out of the power steering box, and I had to run the Saturday without it, and I got second on the Saturday. So,
yeah,
but I mean, you can feel every horse in that motor. You can feel it because they're just so light.
Well, and you can feel every rut in that track. It's not the same as a 10-inch tire. You feel so much more in the steering wheel and in the seat of that car versus the bigger cars. That's just what I took away from it. And so now I'm going to move to another moment of this year. It's something that impressed me with you. And I want to go and talk a lot about this and your mindset of this. You were in the main event at Merced. You finally got around somebody, and that person, I don't know who it was, doesn't matter, we're not going to name names, was kind of using you up a little bit, for lack of better terms, or leaning on you, not letting you get by very easily. As soon as you got past, a caution came out, they reverted back to the last lap, they put you back behind that person. You were kind of giving them a little love tap in the back bumper periodically under that caution. You got around him, and we were talking about it up in the booth, watching you bump and bang a little bit. You got to victory lane, and they wanted you to talk a little bit about it, and you were like, nope, I don't have anything to say about it. It's a great day of race, and I won. That's all that matters. So tell us what about that situation, what led up to it without.
I mean, there wasn't really much to it. I mean, I think it was just a bit of, we were kind of both making mistakes and kind of leaning on each other a bit, and it was hard racing, and we were both wanting to win that race. So I mean, it was fun, and that race definitely helped me in the points.
Yeah. Well, and what was cool about it is he got out of the car, bloody nose and all. I don't know if it was because you were so mad and had so much blood flowing or what it was. He gets out bloody nose and all, and it looked like he just got out of a prize fight there. So that was kind of a very cool picture in victory lane.
Yeah, I think it was a bit dry out in Merced, dry and hot, and my nose it always likes bleeding when it's like that.
Right. Well, it was hot too. Don't forget the hot part. It was hot. I think it was close to 100 out there in Merced while we were there. It was hot. It wasn't very fun. So I couldn't imagine driving that car as hot as it was out there. So
yeah, it was not.
Well, and people don't understand. You live in Colorado. You live in Greeley, Colorado. Y'all were flying out to those. So not only that, you went from, well, I think 7,000 feet in Colorado to 100 feet at Merced. So it was a drastic elevation change. You had your airline flights. I'm sure that takes a toll on you on those weekends, doesn't it?
Yeah, like I remember for the speed week that we had during the micro, I went to Placerville the weekend before, and then we flew back to Colorado, left the same day for the micro speed week. And, it's high elevation, maybe just had a little bit of a cold. And then we went down to Oklahoma again and dropped the elevation again. And, it was a lot of traveling. And,
okay. Yeah, that affects you. I don't know how I know you're young and resilient, but your mom goes with you to a lot of them. Your dad goes with you to a lot of them. How tired are they when you get home from a weekend? I just have to ask that.
I mean, I think they're probably a lot more tired than I am. I just want to leave again and go race.
And they're like, oh, hold down, Turbo. So,
yeah.
All right. So walk me through how you got started in racing.
So my dad, he used to race. He didn't really have, he used to race rally in New Zealand back when he was really young, and he was pretty low budget on the racing, and then he stopped driving down there, and then he came back here. We moved into our old house, and my dad, he bought a Dwarf car, as an old Peter D truck, and he ran that for quite a bit of time. And then after coming to the track every week, because I always wanted to go racing and watching, because I fell in love with it at that point. We have these friends from Denver, Randy and Christina. They let me borrow their it was like a quarter midget thing, and then we went up in Rock Springs, Wyoming. And I always had iRacing, so I always had iRacing. I always was on iRacing. So I went and I up in Rock Springs with that quarter midget, I went and I won both nights. And then I think we went back one time with that car the rest of the year, and I won those nights too. So then the next year it was a mini mod. They're popular at our track I-76 out here. And I ran the mini mod and had a lot of fun in that, had some fun racing, learned quite a bit. And and my dad had just gotten his new M&M, and he let me hot lap it. And I fell in love with the Dwarf car ever since that.
So the mini mods, is that what they run at Mojave there on the smaller track? Was the mini mods?
Yeah, they're very similar. Ours are just a bit bigger and run the 420cc engines.
Okay. So you just kind of took to this naturally, it sounds like. And then, so did your iRacing give you what you needed when you got in the car the first time? Were you doing that before you got in there, or was that a big contributing factor to your quick success?
So yeah, like funny story about the iRacing. So I don't know if you ever heard about it, but we did this iRacing league in 2020 when we were all in quarantine with all the Dwarf car drivers. And we'd have like 30 or 40 cars every night. And my dad would run it, and he had fun. He liked doing it. So I got my own setup, because I would race on his, but I would race more than him. So he wanted to get me one. So I got my setup, and I was always on iRacing because I just had so much fun with it. And then I ran that series, and no one ever knew who I was when I think I was 9 or 8 or something, like second grade, running with with all the adults in the iRacing series. And I did pretty good in that, I think. I mean, I made most of the mains, so that was pretty sweet. But I had a lot of fun. And I think iRacing, I don't think it really teaches you how to drive that much. I mean, I don't think you learn how to drive a midget from iRacing. You get out of an iRacing midget and just immediately can drive a real life midget as quick. But I feel like it helps you kind of like that understanding of lines and track state, looking at the track, reactions, all that type stuff. And I think iRacing played a big role in my racing and getting
Yeah.
to where I am.
Well, it gave you an idea of what the car would do on the surfaces and stuff like that. Because I've heard a lot of people say it's very comparable to what the car is going to do when you're actually in the car. I'm sure it doesn't feel exactly the same, but at least you have an idea that if I gas on it at this point in the corner, it's going to loop it or things like
Yeah,
that.
if I drive through the slick full throttle, I'm not going to make it out of that corner.
Right. Little things like that can relate over to it. So everybody hears us talking about a lot of different tracks in there, and we're going to run a quick commercial for one of our other sponsors, getinthestands.com. Getinthestands.com is to help you find your weekly racing wherever you're at in the United States, but we'll let the commercial tell you all about it. For race fans across the United States, getinthestands.com is the place to find racetracks where you live and where you're traveling. Just go to getinthestands.com and enter your location. You'll see the tracks within 100 miles of that point, either as a list or on a map. Getinthestands.com is 100% free to use and mobile friendly. So whether you're on a computer, a tablet, or on your phone, there's no need to download an app. To find racetracks across the United States, open your web browser and head to getinthestands.com. Getinthestands.com, your racetrack directory. Yeah, that's a great little program that Scott has put up there with getinthestands.com. It's really helpful to help. If you're traveling somewhere and want to catch a Saturday night race or whatever, check it out. It'll get you to where they got going on, what's going on. And we've talked about at least 5 different tracks, I think, since we've been in here. So you can look for those and find out where they're at. You're talking about Rock Springs, Wyoming. I have been through there in a semi truck a lot. Didn't even know there was a racetrack there until y'all.
Yeah, Sweetwater Speedway. It's one of my favorite tracks. It's a big, it's the most banking that you'll find that's not in Tennessee or out east. I mean, super banked, 3/8 a mile, that Cara Beach. A great promoter who runs it. It's just a great track, and I didn't get to race there this year, but when I raced there last year in the Dwarf car, I had so much fun. And when I'd race there in the mini mod and quarter midget.
Yeah, well, and something that was interesting when I had Kenny Wallace and all them on the other day, your mom sent me some pictures. I believe right there is when Kenny Wallace drove your Dwarf car, correct?
Yeah, that is where it happened. I love Kenny.
Yeah. So, well, we were down there in Reno. I've got to ask you about this because if you're looking at the screen, you can tell Marek's and I'm not going to say a kid, a young man, but he's not very big yet. I heard Roddy Williams drove your car in your little 12-inch seat out there. So what can you tell us? What can you tell us about that? Because I heard that was kind of a funny story.
Yeah, we were out in Texas last year for the National, and Monster, he was driving one of our other cars that we sold, but he was driving that, and he was running that car, and then he decided he wanted to register for pro, and he ran in my car. And when I tell you it was tight for him, he was shifting with his elbow because he was so close to the wheel. He'd go like this to shift on the starts, and he was able to drive it from like 14th to 3rd. It was crazy how he could do it. But those guys can just hop in anything and drive it.
Yeah. Well, the whole thing with Roddy is he is a lot bigger than you. He's kind of my height, and I don't know how he got a 12-inch seat to start with. I have a hard time getting into a 16-inch seat, so I don't know how he did it. So
yeah.
Well, and we talk about all the different Dwarf car drivers. Roddy is our monster, for the better term. He's one of the fun guys to hang out and talk trash with. But you did something at Willamette this past year that was kind of fun, and I watched the live video, and I want to talk about it. It was on your practice night. You and Dan Varner tasted some weird sodas as I see you drinking your one that looks like a beer.
It's a good root beer.
So tell us about the different sodas. And if you go to Marek, I think it's Marek Pipe Racing, the live video's up on there. You need to go check it out because it's hysterical.
It was either on it was on that or it was on Pig's Feet or something, but it was funny. we had like grass, mustard, and dirt, and like like hot sauce or something. It was
Buffalo
nasty.
wing sauce. Yeah.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Yeah, it was funny because Merrick took it like a champ, didn't do nothing. Then Dan, if anybody doesn't know Dan Barner, you probably ought to get to know him because he's a funny guy. It was he was trying really hard to keep his dinner down after he'd take a drink of that. That was funny.
Yeah, and from my remembrance of like eating grass and dirt when I was super young, it was very, very close to real life. So props to them.
Yeah, if you can imagine soda, I don't know how anybody could drink a mustard flavored soda. Oh my God, that would be horrible.
It was not good.
So tell us, with all of your racing experience, what are your goals going forward in racing? I mean, I know you're building up your resume with the Dwarf cars. You're working to expand your resume with the Tulsa Shootout. What is the goals of Marek Pipe, and where do you see yourself in the next 4 to 5 years?
I mean, what I really want to do is at someday be able to say that I've driven everything, you know. I'm trying to get on asphalt. I want to drive a sprint car, late model, a modified, anything like that. But I think I think the thing that I want to drive the most is probably a sprint car someday.
You're a braver person than I am. I couldn't ever want to do that. I like racing. I just don't have the desire to get into a sprint car. They look too crazy for me.
Yeah, they're pretty gnarly. It'll be.
Well, anybody that's out there, if you want to have a young man try out a pro stock, I know at least at the Petaluma Dwarf Car Nationals, we're on the Saturday night show. We might get you a ride at a pro stock over there. So
That'd be pretty sweet.
if you want a young man to try out a pro stock, anybody reach out, let us know. We'll get you a driver for the Saturday at the pro stocks over there. You're very talented too, by the way.
That'd be pretty sweet. That'd be fun.
So what is I know you said ultimately to get into a sprint car, but is there any cars that stick out in your mind that you really would like to try one time, even if it's just to say you did it, or is there one in particular that sticks out besides sprint cars?
I think like if I did a one-time race in like a late model, I really want to drive, you know, like the World 100 or, you know, the Dome. That would be super fun. Or like I would like to drive a midget too. That would be really fun, or an Indy car.
Yeah, we just had the big turkey night out here on the West Coast. That was a big thing with the USAC midget. So that was very, very big event.
Yeah, the swing was really fun. I was really bummed out that they didn't run the Hangtown 100.
Well, it rained out. Scott had a rough year this year with rain and everything else up there at Placerville. That was one of the things we talked about down in Reno. The rain got him several times this year.
Yeah, I love that track.
So out of all the tracks you've been to, is there one that sticks out in as your favorite right now? Because you've been to a lot of them.
Yeah, I think I have one that like really sticks out, but I have a couple that I really enjoyed running at, which I really enjoyed. I really did enjoy Placerville. You know, I liked Antioch. I liked Kern. But I think I love I-76 Speedway. That's our track right here. But I think if I had to pick a favorite, it would probably be Port City in Catoosa, Oklahoma, Tulsa area.
All right. So, and I know you've also earlier this year, I want to say in October or something, you went down to one of the big races in Arizona and took your micro or one of those down there. I want you to talk about that. And number one, to follow that up, I want to talk about the age of your chassis versus some of the others, because that's kind of a cool story as well.
Yeah, we went down to Adobe Mountain. You know, the stats didn't show it, but we really did. We had a good weekend. We had Nick Hellwig out there, my crew chief. He's the brains of the operation here at Riverside. He's always got my car good, and he was out there, so that was super exciting. And then we had Tip Holcomb, my crew chief also. He was helping quite a bit. But we went down. We did. I had won my heat race from third on kind of bottom feeder track. In the A class division, we were in A class and outlaw, and we did pretty good in our A class heat, and we kind of did all we could in the outlaw heat. And then we got into the mains, and I was locked in to start eighth for the A class main. So we did run the B main for the outlaw car. So I was able to drive it up to third, and then I won by. And then the second night, I did decent in my A class heat. I think it was like 6th to 4th. And then outlaw, I started pole. Someone jumped the start really bad, and they didn't call it back, so I got second. And then in our A class B main, I won that, and I had such a big gap in that B main that the guy that it was in second thought he was winning, and he drove past me and he wouldn't let me past him. So they were yelling at him on the receiver. And we started in the outlaw A main, we were like 9th. And then in our A class main, someone checked up in front of me because there was like someone getting sideways, and it broke our power steering. And then in the outlaw main, we were really fast right away. I could feel it. Nick and Tip had me really good. We were driving, I driven up to like 4th or something. Then the leader spun out and took us all out. So, but in my opinion, it was a great weekend. We did really good for what the results say. We had a lot of speed.
So you're going to the Tulsa Shootout this year. We'll shift gears to that. Okay. You won an E-main last year there. Tell us the process that took. Did you qualify for the E-main, or did you have to race your way to the E-main? How did you end up in the E-main to win it?
Yep, I started on the pole of the E-main, and I won it by like a straightaway or whatever. And it was super fun. It was winged A class, and I remember it, and I always will. It was so much fun, And now I can say I won A main at the Tulsa Shootout.
Yeah. Well, there you go. There's not a lot of people. You said there's 900 and something cars. You won a main event. You transferred to the next one, and for being your first time there, to me that shows that's huge, in my opinion.
Yeah, and like Frank Flood was watching Matt Carr, and they all congratulated my parents after the race. So that was pretty cool.
And then on top of it, it's your first trip to the Tulsa Shootout. So you can't hang your head on that. So now you kind of know how it runs. You know what you got to do. Do you have a plan going in this year? Are you going to, I know you have qualifiers, things like that all week long. Is there something that you can do earlier in the week that might put you in somewhere like a B main that you think you can do?
Yeah, I just got to pass cars in the heat race, get a good pill draw, and then pass cars in the heat race, and hopefully set me up in a qualifier for the main, and then run Saturday.
So is there one of those races? I know they lock a certain number in. I think it's like 6 during the week, and then everybody else has to race their way in. What do you have to do to be one of the locked in cars for Saturday?
I mean, you got to have a pretty good pill draw, pass every car in your heat, win it from 8th or back, win it from there, and then win your qualifier from 4th, and you're in.
Okay. So when you say a good pill draw, don't you want to start in the back of your heat race? That way you get the passing points?
Yeah, but for someone like me who I don't think is like the best there, I think what's really good for me is a good 5th or 6th, and I can pass, and I think I can make my way up. But
okay.
You just need to get passing points. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, see, I never followed much of it. I know I followed a little bit last year with the people that went live for your team there, and then we watched some of the other race there the other one, the Chili Bowl, when Tanner Holmes got to drive. I've never paid much attention to that race, so you brought my attention last year watching y'all were doing there. So looking forward to seeing that. Do you have any sponsors that are getting you to the Tulsa Shootout this year that you want to thank? Because we always got to make sure we take care of our sponsors.
Yeah, we got Riverside Truck and Auto, Lee's Towing, Pit Stop, Hyper Chassis, Hyper Racing. We got Nick Hellwig, Tip, my dad, my mom. You know, we have a lot of people helping us get there this year, and I'm thankful for all of them for helping me.
Yeah, I'm sure y'all brought some special ones on and some special people on to go to that, because that's a lot of pressure and a lot of stress during that week. I can only imagine what it takes to get there. And I got to talk about Marek on some other fronts too, because I see your stories pop up on my Facebook feed all the time. Number one, you're a part of the National Honor Society. So you're in school, you're a part of the National Honor Society. What do you have to do that, and where are you at schooling wise?
Yeah, it's like a 3.5 GPA or higher, and you get an invitation, and you have to fill out the form to get in. And yeah, I've had all A's and B's, you know, even with missing so much racing, or for so much for racing. So I'm pretty happy. As long as I keep my grades up, I'll be able to race.
So I was going to ask that next question. So let me ask you, when you go to your teachers and say, hey, I need my stuff, or hey, I'm going to be gone for the next 3 days because I'm going to some other state to go racing, what are their thoughts when you tell them that?
They ask if I'm even a student there. But they call me part-time student, and they kind of just let me go as long as I can keep my grades up and do all my work.
Well, do you have a favorite subject in school next of all? That's my next question.
I mean, I think obviously like something like PE, like a main subject, probably like science, because I'm kind of been interested in how everything works.
So you're more on the engineering side of it and learning the physics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
All right. So next, you play hockey. That's why it's taken us so long to get together, because of your hockey schedule. So are you so mellow on the racetrack and all that when you're at the racetrack, because you get to take all your aggression out during hockey, so you get it all out during that time frame?
Yeah, hockey's really fun. Hockey's fun. You know, when it's not racing season, it's hockey season, no in between. So, and not a lot of people know, but I take my hockey as serious as racing during the off season.
Oh, I know. I'm learning that. I didn't even know you played hockey. So my question is, are you really good with handling the puck and all that stuff? Or are you more the guy that jumps in the fights? I got to know that.
I'm usually the guy that skates up the ice and can always get through everybody and set up a teammate in front of the net.
Okay. So I had to ask, because I wanted to know if you spend a lot of time in the penalty box. That's all I needed to know.
I used to spend a lot of time in the penalty box.
So
not as much anymore.
That lets you get your aggression out a little bit on the ice, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, in hockey, you got to be ready to, you got to be ready to take a hit or give one. So
do you play any other sports other than hockey?
No.
Do you follow any other sports besides racing and hockey? That's my next question.
I follow the NFL quite a bit. My mom's from Wisconsin, so I like the Packers. They're doing pretty good this year, and I like the Broncos because I'm from Colorado.
Oh, yeah, you're right down the road from the stadium there. So have you been to any of their games in person?
Yeah, I've been to maybe 2 or 3 Broncos games, but I haven't been this year. I was there when they really sucked.
Well, I couldn't imagine going to a football game in Denver, because I have been there many, many, many times, and it is cold as hell in the wintertime, and I don't think that would be a very fun day.
Yeah, it's not the greatest. Like I would be down to get season tickets to a Dolphins game, but not.
Oh yeah. So tell me, what all tracks have you raced at that you can name off in the top of your head so far? Is there anything on the schedule for 2025 that's going to take you to some new ones? Let's run through those.
So this year I started off I-76, Mojave, I-44 in Oklahoma City, Kern, Wairika,
Willamette.
yeah, Willamette. I went to Port City, Creek County, Red Dirt, which is a pretty cool track.
Where is Red Dirt at?
It's in Meeker, Oklahoma. It's literally just red track. It's all red clay. Pretty cool place to race. Then I had Merced, Watsonville, Petaluma, Marysville. So out in Central, I had I-76, Deuce Club Thunder Raceway in Show Low, Arizona, Rocket Raceway in Petty, Texas.
You went to Sweetwater too, didn't you?
Not this year, but I did
Okay.
last year.
Okay, I've seen some of the ones that are on there. I kind of know where Sweetwater is. Kind of been through there, so
Yeah.
I didn't know very much about the Oklahoma tracks. So, are you looking to go further east in Oklahoma this year, or are you staying more in that same area?
The plan is we're gonna try to hit all the KKM challenge races, and to do that we have to go to it's a place in Pennsylvania, a track out there. We have Indiana, Illinois, and hopefully hit some of those shows this year. It should be really fun. Should be a lot of different tracks that I've never seen before.
So you're definitely doing a lot of traveling this year, then, huh?
Yeah, we're planning on doing a bunch of Now 600 races.
So what is the KKM series? I'm not familiar with that one, so I want to know a little bit about it.
So KKM, Keith Kuz Motorsports, they put on a series. It's basically like it's a series because they do the point standings and everything, and they start off in like California at Plaza Park, and they go all the way to Pennsylvania. They do Texas, the Little Texas Motor Speedway, SIR in Illinois, and US 24. They do that. They do those. And then they do Port City at the end of the year. And if you win the KKM Give Back Classic, you get to choose between $15,000 or right at the Chili Bowl.
So I already know the answer to this. Okay, so I already know the answer to this. If you got that choice, you're going to the Chili Bowl. Am I wrong?
Nah, you're not.
Yeah, buddy, sounds good, but you're going to kill it Chili Bowl in a Keith Coons car. That's pretty awesome. That would be awesome. So
yeah,
we'll be cheering you on with that. I just knew your answer before I even asked it. So
yeah.
As he said earlier, he just wants to go fast. Well, we were talking about sponsors earlier. I'm going to run one for Jay's Mobile Welding and Fabrication real quick, and then we'll get in here and we'll finish up the last little segment and see where it goes from there. So hang tight.
The Tri-State Pro Stock Series would like to welcome back title sponsors Jay and Emily Bryant. Jay and Emily own Jay's Mobile Welding and Fabrication and Speed Union TV. Jay's Mobile Welding and Fabrication is located in Sacramento, California. Whether you need sheet metal for your race car or a complex welding and fabrication project, contact Jay's Mobile Welding and Fabrication.
All right, so we're back here. Are you running all the Western States Nationals this year? Question number one.
I don't think we are gonna this year or next year, just because we're trying to focus more on in the micro and get some seat time in that. But we'll be running all the Central States races. It's just tough to go to California and Oregon and every month. So I don't know if we'll do that.
Is there any ones in particular that you've got lined up that y'all are going to do with the Western States, or do you know?
We're definitely going to try to hit Marysville. We're thinking about maybe Mojave, but there's not too much that we'll be able to.
Okay. Yeah, your dad had told me y'all were focusing on the micros a lot this year, and that's actually going to be a very cool journey for you with that. He said y'all were going to do a lot of traveling this year, a lot of goals. What is the number one goal you've got set for yourself right now moving forward? Is there anything that's immediate or something long-term that you're focused on?
I mean, something like next year, I'm going to try to win a now 600 race in the A-class division. Maybe, win a KKM race. But anything like that, anything big in the micro world, or win, because I'll be in the pro division next year, win a pro race, something like that.
Yeah. So tell us how that works with the nationals, because I know you were in Sportsman class this year. You said you're moving to the pro class next year. I know there's certain with the number of wins, then they kind of want you to move up to the next class or something. Is that something that was in your mind, or how did that work out?
Yep. After 2 Saturday night feature wins, you've got to move up to the pro class.
So that pro class that's out there with the Dwarf cars, there is a ton of talent in that group. You got Monster Williams, Kinzer Endicott, you got all the Schrum brothers, you got Danny Wagner. The list goes on and on. Is there any of those that you want to, that are more important for you to finish ahead of than any of the rest of them? Or is there any of those ones that stand out of your mind that you want to get together and race with?
Not really. I mean, I just want to, win races and try to beat everyone.
Yep. So you always want to win no matter what. Don't care who's in there. So the other question I got to ask, when you go out and win like you are with the older people in the crowd, and I know you've kind of got a pretty good friendship with a lot of them, is there any of them that give you a lot of grief when you kick their butt on the racetrack?
No, I think everyone's pretty nice about it. No one's. So like Dan Varner is always happy for me. Even when we're not racing each other, when I was in Texas, he called me and wished me good luck, congratulated me for winning the first night.
Well, and I know you're talking about Tip Holcomb. I know there were several nights that your dad was sending me updates with his car that was running somewhere else while you were running a national at the West Coast. So y'all kind of had your cars divided up throughout the season this year too.
Yeah, Tip was running out here, and when I was running the Western States races, Tip, he's really fast. So, it's always fun to race him, and I didn't get to do much this year, but next year we will.
Yeah. Well, I think there was one night he won like a big $1,000 to win dwarf car race back there in Central States, and you picked up the win just a little while later. I want to say it was at Merced, if I'm not mistaken. I probably am, but I remember we were getting the updates on both of them at the same time from your dad.
Yeah. Yep. Riverside was pretty good last year in Victory Lane.
Yep. So kind of just trying to figure out where we want to talk about. You got so much in there, and our camera guys were always excited when you would go out and race too, just so you know. They had never been around auto racing till they started filming with us, and you're one of the people that stuck out in their mind, and I know Sean Whitney was another one of them, so they were always excited when y'all hit the track.
Yeah.
So how did you feel about the big run Sean Whitney put on in the pro class this year over at Marysville? That was kind of exciting.
I mean, he drove his butt off. He, was it the C main? He went from the back to win it. B main from the back to win it. And went and beat some of the best in the A main. So congratulations! It was fun to watch. He did really good.
Yeah, I was watching that on the stream as we were over at Petaluma. And it was like, wow! And the enthusiasm that even the announcers had into it, that was a kind of epic run. That's kind of like a big run at the Chili Bowl or the Shootout, because you have to go through so many races to get there. And he had to start at the back of each one of them. It wasn't like he was on the pole for the C main and just won it from the pole and then whatever. I think he started in the back almost every single one of those races and went to the front.
Yeah, he ran what we call the alphabet soup.
Oh, yeah. So that was pretty exciting. And that was very cool to be a part of and witness. And I heard you had a little bit of fun at Quincy. I know you lost your power steering, but I heard something about losing your starter and some other stuff over there.
So we lost. I meant for the power steering, it was last year. But it was a bit of a dramatic race on Saturday. When I took the lead, it started puffing out smoke, and the starter had ripped out of the motor, so oil was just pumping out, and it was a bit scary because it wouldn't start after the big red flag.
Right.
And Danny was on the phone with my dad. Do you want to run it and risk it, or do you just want to tell him to pull in and then we can save the motor? And my dad was like, send it.
Yeah.
So we went out and sent it.
And you won it, right? You're looking at the tree right there beside your car. That's the trophy, I believe, from Quincy this year. So
yep, it's got the lights on it.
All right. So the one on the other side of us, talk about that one a little bit. Want to hear about that one because that's the big one, right?
So this is the Western States Championship that I'm lucky enough to have. I was lucky enough to win it, and lucky enough to have Danny Wagner and Ellie Russo help me immensely with getting it and being able to bring it back home. And Mike was always there helping out on the car no matter what. Travis was there for a couple of races, and Tommy was there for a couple of races. And Jake Archibald, he was there for a couple of shows. Couldn't have done without all those guys.
Yeah. So guys, if you want to help a young man live his dream, he is a great ambassador of the sport. Fun to talk to, great scholar, great athlete, great driver. Hit him up. If you want a name on a car, he's not. I'm kind of bummed I'm going to miss you at a lot of the Western States this year because he'd always come grab me. We got to do an interview. Every time I do an interview with you, I win. So we got to do an interview every time I saw him. So that was always fun. And going to miss hanging out in the pits and cheering you on, man.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be at a couple and see you at a couple.
Oh, definitely. So anything you want to finish up the show with? Anything that's on your mind going into the year that you want to get out there?
Yeah. I'm just thankful for you having me on here, and it was super fun talking to you about racing. My life, pretty much.
I love talking about racing. We talk all day long about it. So, and you've had a short life, but you've got a lot of miles in your short life so far. So that's so cool. So, any sponsors, anything you want to give a shout out to before we end it?
Yep. Riverside Truck and Auto Recyclers, Hyper Racing, Pit Stop, Tip, Nick Hellwig. He builds all my motors, and the motors that he builds are insanely quick. And Tip he's always out here helping on the car. And my parents, Danny always helps us when we need it still. Spanky helps us quite a bit. M&M Chassis. All those guys, they all help me out here, and I wouldn't be here without them.
So it's awesome, and a big shout out to those guys too, because I know all of them. I got to hang out with Spanky and your dad a bit at Reno, so that was fun. Very cool. I'm excited for your year, and you got to keep me posted. We'll have you back on as the season progresses with your micro and see if you got your goals accomplished.
Yep, and I also wanted to thank Mamador, Frank, and Jan. So.
Yep. Awesome people. Good luck at the Tulsa shootout. I will be watching. I know you have a family member that goes live all the time there, so I'll be watching from that to see how you do, and wish y'all a safe journey over there.
It'll all be on our Riverside Racing page. Claire will go live for everybody.
All right. Well, good luck and Merry Christmas to you, and good luck at the Tulsa shootout. And we'll keep an eye on you. Thanks, Merrick, and hang tight after we end it. Hang tight for a second.